of you may have seen me around Write the Docs. My name is Coley Woyak. It's Polish origins, but I'm not Polish. I'm from the US, California specifically, and I live in France, hence Write the Docs Prague. I'm in my second technical writing job at the moment, and my first technical writing job, I just ended that a few months ago. And I promised myself last year that if I could, I would do a lightning talk on what it's like to be the new, the first, and the only. And I'm doing it for my second time. So I decided to follow through on that promise to myself. So here's a brief glimpse into my experience as a new technical writer and as the first and only technical writer at two different French startups at this point. So that being a new writer in general is always going to be initiation by fire. And I think that might be even more when you're the only writer at a company and when you're the first writer at a startup. So I went from, my background is in a little bit of instructional design that was an extra duty on the job that I had before. And I was doing that in a WYSIWYG. And I went from that to documenting Kubernetes installation information in a Docs as code system. So it was like, I don't know if there's another way to describe initiation by fire than by saying that you go from writing instructions for how to fill out an application in a WYSIWYG to describing how to install something on Kubernetes using Docs as code. I think that's a pretty swift learning curve right there. And additionally, and this is a point I wanted to make today for a reason, is that all the technical information that I received about my technical writing job was in my second language. So I am Anglophone. I have Anglophone privilege in the tech world. And I chose to work for a French company, and all of that information was in French. And my French is good, but it's a lot better now than it was at the beginning of that job. And it just really increased my empathy for all of our attendees here listening to me who speak English as a second, third, or X language, who are doing all of this work in English all the time, because y'all, it is hard. It is hard. And I remember I would go to my wife and I'd ask her, is this a French term or is this a tech term? Because they were terms I had never heard before, and I didn't know if they were French or if they were tech specific. And it was quite the curve, I would say. And then the other thing that was really difficult is that there was just so much to do. And so what I wanted to share with you all is the initial feelings I had, hopefully to validate maybe some feelings that all of you might have as well. I felt really lonely and confused. I had no idea what was going on. I was the only one at the company that was doing documentation, and I really didn't know what I was talking about for a few months there in terms of the product and what we were doing. I felt really unqualified. I felt like I was working really slow, and I was overwhelmed by the amount of work and the type of work that I was doing. And I just wasn't sure how it was all going to work out. And what ended up happening is I was really overwhelmed by these feelings for quite some time. And then I realized over time, and then now looking back, that each of these feelings actually kind of became a strength. And so I'm going to share those now, where those initial really negative feelings turned into things that I think that new writers, but maybe even some of you that are really experienced today, even now. So being lonely and confused, I was able to find allies within my company that cared about documentation and cared about taking time to explain things to me. And I felt lonely, and I became really active in the Slack community. I don't always have the best answers. I actually try not to answer a lot. I let the experts do that, but I learn a lot, and it's really interesting. I felt really unqualified, so I needed to trust my own strengths. And that actually plays into the T-shaped knowledge that we heard about from Karen earlier today. I had strengths coming in information architecture, in how to explain things and present things, and I needed to own that. I felt slow. I needed to pace myself. There was a lot of work to do, and it wasn't going to get done in a month or two. I needed to be okay with that and understand what I could accomplish in a certain amount of time. And I felt overwhelmed. And so let's go back to Victor from yesterday. Don't panic. It's all going to happen within its time. And we were brought in for a reason and hired for a reason. I think for those of us who are newer writers, we come in with our new bosses and colleagues knowing that we're new. And so there's no reason to pretend that we know everything when we don't. This is a great learning opportunity. And I can tell you that my brain today is not the same brain that I had in December of 2019 when I started. So just to end, we've got this. We can all do this. We have a place here, and you can connect with me on my info's on my website or on Twitter when I go on there every month or two. Yeah, thank you all so much.